So passion, though, is this thing that's commonly talked about, and we've got these little fuzzy sayings that we like to say. One of them is cash in on your passion. The truth is that there's this huge misconception, and people get set up for disappointment because misinformed people with misinformation are passing along misinformation to then new misinformed people about what that really means. And you know, there is that possibility, and there's always that chance that somebody steps into something that they love, but more times than not, somebody starts out doing something that they hate, and they're lured into this fantasy that they can just stop doing what they're doing, and just if they can find their passion, they'll be able to start getting rich because finally they'll love what they're doing. And my experience has been, and you may have a different experience, I mean everybody does, and we all know people who have done different things. However, of all the people that I've met, what I've seen is that, and from my own experiences, that whatever it is that you're doing, if you can inject passion into that. And what exactly is passion? Passion is being inspired, it's being real, it's being authentic. If you can inject that into what it is that you're doing, and I don't care if you're a professional dog crap picker-upper, I mean, you can be doing anything. You can be picking crap up from somebody's yard and then going to the next person and selling it. And if you're passionate about it, you're the most passionate dog poop pusher that ever existed, you're more than likely eventually going to succeed. And that was an extreme example, but the truth is that I've seen people succeeding who are passionate in things that just look unsucceedable. Is that a word? I'm not sure if that's a word. I'm in the process of rewriting a new English dictionary. I believe that when we live in the truth and the reality of what's possible, we empower ourselves to do so much more than when we live in these fantasy worlds. And it is true that you can cash in on your passion and you can do what you're passionate about, but oftentimes that comes after you put in the work of actually doing something with passion. And then you build up some success and some experience, and you gain some insights into how things work, how to make money, how to sell, how to market, whatever it is that you're doing. Then you have options, and that's real power, is to have options. And that's a lot different than just living in this fantasy world that, well, if I can just stop doing what I'm doing and I can finally find what I love to do, then I'll be successful. When really there's probably people doing what you're doing who are ultra successful. And if those people are ultra successful, then it's not what you're doing, it's you. Living in that truth and admitting that reality really sounds like at first it would be, man, I can't say that out loud. But really it's empowering to speak the truth and live in reality, the reality of whatever it is that your situation is, because then you become honest, you become open-minded. And that's one of the biggest things. We call it teachable, but open-mindedness is the ability to be able to think that there's a possibility, and you don't have to believe it, but there's a possibility that somebody else out there might know more than you about something. And I am a huge believer and student and practicer of open-mindedness, but you also have to have willingness, and the willingness to actually implement. There's one thing to be a philosopher and to have all of these ideas. There's another thing to have the application, and that's the work. And we try to skirt around that so much. We're in a society of instant gratification and sitting on our duffs in front of the boob tube, not doing any work. Then we put in some work and we do the wrong things. We end up stressing ourselves out, and we say that something doesn't work. The problem is never the problem. It's always our perception of how we see the problem, because there's somebody else who has the same exact issues that you do right now who's thriving. And that's just the facts. There's somebody else who, when I was running the streets homeless, struggling with drug addiction, there was millions of people across the world who had actually broke through and who were clean. There was people when I was struggling and suffering in business, when I was saying this is not going to work, who were in the Caribbean somewhere on a cruise ship, drinking out of a you know, what are those drinks that you drink in the morning? I think that's not a mojito. I haven't drank in a long time, so I don't know, but it's, you know, the orange juice, and they were sitting there with their pinkies up and their diamond rings, living the lavish life. Again, the problem is never the problem. It's how we see it, and it always comes back to us. And that's where true power comes from. That's where true influence comes from, is when we're conscious of what's going on with us and how we're seeing the world and where potentially the flaws are in our thinking and in how we view ourselves and view the world. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, and I will talk to you on the next video.